What is survivable space? Survivable space has evolved from the term defensible space. The modification of landscape design, fuels, building materials, and maintenance makes a home ignition caused by wildfire unlikely, even without direct firefighter intervention. The size of the survivable space area is usually expressed as a distance extending outward from the structure and all attachments, such as a deck. This distance varies by the type of wildland vegetation growing near the house and the steepness of the terrain. On the vegetation and slope influence chart presented on the next page, find the vegetation type and percent slope that best describes the area where your house is located. Then, find the recommended survivable space distance for your situation. For example, if your property is on flat land surrounded by grassland, your survivable space distance will extend out at least 30 feet from the sides of the house. If your house sits on a 25% slope and the adjacent wildland vegetation is dense or has a tall brush, you will need to reduce hazardous fuels to at least 200 feet from your home. If the recommended distance goes beyond your property boundaries, contact the adjacent property owner to work cooperatively on creating survivable space for both properties. The effectiveness of survivable space increases when multiple property owners work together. The local assessor's office can assist if the owners of the adjacent properties are unknown. Do not work on someone else's property without their permission. Temporarily mark the recommended distance with lagging tied to shrubs, trees, or stakes around your home. This will be your treatment area for survivable space. Please note that these are recommendations made by professional fire managers and firefighters experienced in protecting homes from wildfires. They are not requirements, and they do not take precedence over local ordinances. Vegetation and slope influence. Determining distance for survivable space. Slope, 0 to 20%, 21 to 40%, plus 40% vegetation, type grass, desert. Wildland grasses, weeds, desert scrub, and widely scattered shrubs with grass understory, typically found between 1 and 200 and 4,500 feet elevation, but often at higher elevations as well. 35, 100 fda. Shrubs tall chaparral, riparian areas, and pinyon juniper mixed with chaparral type, typically found B between 3,000 and 5,000 feet elevation, 100 fda. 200 fda. Trees. Forested areas such as mixed conifer, ponderosa pine, and pinyon juniper, typically found between 5,000 and 8,000 feet elevation. Use the appropriate vegetation type above if the vegetation type is widely spaced and substantial grass or shrub understory is present. 30th, 100th, 200th. The Ready, Set, Go program seeks to inform residents about what they can do to prepare for a wildland fire successfully. Speak with your local fire department about your area's threat of wildland fire and learn more about the Wildland Urban Interface, WUI. Ready, be Firewise, R. Take personal responsibility and prepare long before the threat of a wildland fire so your home is ready in case of a fire. Clear brush away from your home to create defensible space. Use fire-resistant landscaping and harden your home with fire-safe construction measures. Assemble emergency supplies and belongings in a safe place. Plan escape routes and ensure all those reading in the home know the action plan. Set. Situational awareness. Pack your emergency items. Know how to receive and stay aware of the latest news and information on the fire from the local media, your local fire department, and public safety. Go. Act early. Follow your personal wildland fire action plan. See website below. This will support your safety and allow firefighters to best maneuver resources to combat the fire. For more information, visit the RSG website at www.wildlandfirersg.org. Zone landscaping. Firewise, R. Plant materials. Creating a survivable space around your home is one of the most important and effective steps you can take to protect yourself, your family, and your home from wildfire. All vegetation, naturally occurring and otherwise, is potential fuel for fire. Plant choice, spacing, and maintenance are critical. Where and how you plant can be more important than which species you use. Some important things to remember about plants are: no plant species is totally fireproof. Moisture content is the most important factor influencing flammability. Plants with high resin content tend to be most readily flammable. Many native plants in arid environments such as manzanita, juniper, and pine are resinous. Deciduous plants tend to be most fire-resistant because leaves have high moisture content. Isolated or small groupings of trees or shrubs are treated as individual vegetation units. Boulders, flagstone, rock walls, and other non-organic hardscape materials are used to separate planting areas. Contact your local county extension agent, fire department, or Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management to get more information on Firewise, plant species appropriate for your area. Survivable space checklist. 1. Recommendations for dead vegetation. Dead vegetation includes dead trees and shrubs, dead branches lying on the ground or still attached to living plants, dried grass, flowers and weeds, dropped leaves and needles, and stacks of firewood. Most dead vegetation should be removed from the recommended survivable space area. However, a thin layer of pine needles, leaves, and twigs may be desirable to allow for soil mulch and erosion control. The actions below are recommended. Remove standing dead and downed trees and shrubs, dead leaves, branches, twigs, and needles on mature trees to a height of 15 feet, debris from roof and rain gutters, dried out grasses, weeds, and wildflowers, especially next to and near the structure. Reduce layers of pine needles, leaves, twigs, and cones to 3 inches or less depth. Replace dead vegetation with fire-resistant plants that lower fire intensity and reduce soil erosion as appropriate. Relocate firewood and other combustible debris, wood scraps, grass clippings, leaf and compost piles, etc., should be at least 30 feet uphill from structures. 2. Break up continuous vegetation. Sometimes, vegetation occurs in a continuous layer of fuel. The possibility of wildfire increases as the vegetation becomes more continuous and dense. In desert areas, this especially includes annual grasses and weeds. To reduce fire intensity, adequate spacing needs to be created in the vegetation. The recommended practice is to remove and break up vegetation to provide separation between plants. Whether you have grass, shrubs, or trees around your home, you need to consider the influence of slope. Regardless of vegetation type, grass, shrubs, or trees, slope is an important influence. For example, in a forested area, consider the following examples as a reference. Not only do steep slopes affect fire behavior, but they are also more vulnerable to erosion. Try to minimize soil disturbance when removing shrubs and trees from steep slopes. Replacing the vegetation you remove with fire-resistant plants may also be necessary to reduce soil erosion. 3. Ladder fuels. Vegetation is often present at varying heights, similar to the rungs of a ladder. Under these conditions, flames from fuels burning at the ground level, such as a thick layer of pine needles, can be carried to shrubs that can ignite branches and trees above. Vegetation that allows a fire to move from lower plants to taller ones is referred to as ladder fuel. The ladder fuel problem can be corrected by creating a separation between the vegetation layers. This may be accomplished by removing lower tree branches, reducing shrub height, or both. Shrubs may also be removed. A common rule of thumb is a vertical separation of 3 times the height of the lower fuels. 4. Lean and clean. The area adjacent to your house is particularly important in terms of an effective survivable space. It is also the area that is usually landscaped. Within an area extending at least 30 feet from the house, the vegetation should be kept lean. Small amounts of flammable vegetation and plants are kept healthy. Clean. No accumulation of dead vegetation or other flammable debris. The Lean and Clean checklist provides actions necessary for the areas adjacent to your structures. Use low-growing herbaceous, non-woody, or succulent plants near structures. Herbaceous plants include succulent ground covers such as bedding plants, bulbs, and perennial flowers. Use mulches, rock, and non-combustible hard surfaces, concrete sidewalks, brick patios, pavers, and asphalt driveways. Break up the continuity of vegetation with hardscape features such as decorative rock, gravel, and stepping stones to slow the spread of fire. Space deciduous ornamental trees and shrubs as individual plantings or as groups of plants. The plants nearest to structures should be more widely spaced and smaller than those farther away. Use small, irregular clusters and islands, not large masses. Most wildland shrubs and trees should be removed from this zone and replaced with the above practices. Minimize the use of fire-prone and resinous shrubs and trees, such as juniper, manzanita, pine, and most species of arborvitae, and tall exotic grasses. Tree limbs within 15 feet of a chimney, encroaching on power lines, or touching the house should be removed. Keep the area free of dry leaves, branches, grass, debris, and other fine fuels. Check with your homeowners association or community to see if permits are required. If codes interfere with fire protection, they should be updated. 5. Vegetation. Maintenance. Keeping your survivable space effective is a continual progress. Before fire season, review the survivable space checklist and take action accordingly. Follow the 4 R's of survivable space to maintain your property. Remove. Rake up leaves and litter before and during fire season, but leave a layer of decomposing plant matter, duff, if present. Reduce. Prune or trim trees and shrubs annually as needed. Replace. Add non-flammable hardscape elements such as boulders, pathways, and other features. Replace fire-prone plants with fire-resistant plants. Relocate. Keep firewood, fuel tanks, and other combustible debris, wood scraps, grass clippings, leaf, and compost piles, etc., at least 30 feet from structures. 6. Ember awareness. During a wildfire, thousands of embers can rain down on your roof and pelt the side of your home like hail during a storm. If these embers become lodged in something easily ignited on or near your home, the house will be in jeopardy of burning. Embers coming into contact with flammable material is the major reason why homes are destroyed during wildfires. Common materials that become embers during wildfires include pine cones, branches, tree bark, and wooden shingles. Depending on fire intensity, wind speed, and the size of the burning materials, embers can be carried more than a mile ahead of fire. Consequently, even homes located blocks away from the actual flame front are vulnerable to ignition and complete destruction. A homeowner can substantially reduce the risk of home ignitions by being ember aware and taking action ahead of time.